where the man up on stage in front of everybody was saying, does a bear in the woods worry about money? And everybody's like, no. Does a whale out in the ocean think about how much money it has in his bank account? And everybody's like, no. So why are we the only animals on earth that play into that? Why, hello there. We're going to be channeling Archangel Michael today, and we're going to be talking a lot about what happens when others ruffle your feathers. I know that's a saying in our society, oh, someone ruffled your feathers. However, it's also, I think, pertaining to what I see a lot of the time with spirit is showing me, when a duck has their feathers ruffled, right? And they shake it off and then they just settle down. So that's a lot of what they would like for us, right? Instead of, a duck being fuming and PO'd and walking down the street still miffed a day later. You don't see a duck doing that, do you? So I think it's really important to talk about this topic because I myself have had, just life experiences, right? Where you're having issues with others. And I want to share with you, my hair is just going wild today, and just share with you what I will hear from Archangel Michael when I'm complaining to him. And his response in return, okay? So it's not like, oh, you poor little thing, Kristin, it's just so rough. Oh, let me help you. It's not like that. It's not, oh, you poor little thing, okay? Or you have a right to be PO'd, Kristin. I don't get that either. So I think it's really important to get the feedback from Archangel Michael. It's the same thing. I was just thinking about it before I came live today. I remember when I was really having a lot of lack thinking, and this can be lack thinking about money, lack thinking about certain prospects, or I don't have enough friends in my life, or it can be lack thinking in many different areas, right? And I remember coming across a video where the man up on stage in front of everybody was saying, does a bear in the woods worry about money? And everybody's like, no. Does a whale out in the ocean think about how much money it has in his bank account? And everybody's like, no. So why are we the only animals on earth that play into that? And then I was just thinking the same thing about many other animals. They might have a tiff or a fight or have an issue with another animal in the pack or another animal nearby. I mean, if we look at the breeding patterns of certain animals, right, it's not always consenting, but yet you don't see those animals holding on to it and going on with it and complaining and side-eyeing, right? And one could say, well, we are more conscious beings. We're more sentient. However, one might say, okay, well, since we are, we should know better, right? Okay, so let's tune in with Archangel Michael on this topic in regards to what do you do when someone ruffles your feathers? Especially like if you're going to come out the gate and you're going to be doing some of the work that I'm doing, right? You're going to have a lot of people potentially post and comment everywhere you are and giving their 2 cents. Because since you're coming and stepping forward in front of everyone else, now it gives everybody else the right to have their opinion about what you're doing. especially trolls. I am one of the fortunate ones. I don't typically have a whole lot of that. But I have seen others, and not just mediums, but in general, others stepping forward on camera, and they just get it. They just get it. So what is the difference between someone that's getting it and someone that isn't, right? Could it possibly be the energy that they're emitting, the frequency that they're putting out? Could it be the words that they're speaking? Can it be multiple different factors? So let's have a chat with Archangel Michael and just see what he'd like to relate on this topic, okay? Greetings, dear ones. This is Archangel Michael. This topic is near and dear to me. And he's putting his hand by his heart. So it's near and dear to him, okay? Probably because he's had to listen to me over the years. So now he gets to tell all of you what he tells me all the time. Oh man, I know he's being serious, but at the same time, I think he's doing this. It's near and dear to my heart. Okay, all right. Now that was easy to get me ramped up, wasn't it? Okay, go ahead. He's got a slight glimmer in his eye. It's pretty funny though. Okay. There are a few sayings that we have taught Kristin over the years. So I shall say a few. Others' opinions of me are none of my business. Okay, so you can repeat that over and over. And when you do, you don't have to say it right to someone's face. You can say it in your head, okay? And as you're having issues with whomever, you just repeat that, if you want to call it an affirmation in your mind. And what ends up happening is those people that are no longer a vibrational match with that, with you, with your energy, they go elsewhere. Okay? Okay. He's also talking about saying like-minded souls are attracted to me. Like attracts like, the law of attraction. So if you are one that loves to have drama or gossip or have heavier people in your life, right? Then typically you're probably going to be attracting in people that are there to listen to you and, you know, gossip and talk about the lower vibrational aspects. And I'm not saying everybody's like perfect over here and not perfect over there. But I think as your frequency shifts, you tend to kind of move in the direction of people who don't really entertain those kinds of conversations. It's much maybe deeper conversations, more high vibrational conversations, right? It's all about tweaking the frequency, okay? Okay, so what else do we want to say here? He says the choice is in our hands in each and every given moment as to how long or how prolonged we choose to allow others to affect our frequency, our thoughts, our emotions. And he wants to just talk about some truths. And the truth is, this is but a seeming reality in which we are temporarily housed in, learning and growing. This is but fleeting, seeming, and temporary. Okay. Okay. A lot of the time, I think to myself, am I going to remember that grade 5 teacher's name back when I was much younger? Or that little kid's name from grade 2? Am I going to remember the details of the meal that I had on my 14th birthday? Right? And I'm not. I'm just not. Right? Like these things are not going to be important to my soul when I cross over. I can guarantee you that. And as I incarnate on earth repeatedly, those are going to be very fleeting. He's also talking about, do we remember the details from our great-grandparents or our great-great-grandparents or our great-great-great-grandparents? No, we don't, right? He's talking about this being a very fleeting experience on earth. And to remind yourself of that, anytime you get worked up with the seeming reality that is of, he's saying the seeming reality and experiences that you are having. And he's also talking about your frequency being emitted from yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your self-talk, your talk outside of yourself. Okay, all of that culminated is what you will draw to you. Okay, like attracts like. Now, if you feel that you've got things squared away and you are holding in a fairly you're moving in a good direction and you're holding a fairly good vibrational frequency, and you notice he's doing this, troublemakers in your experience pissing you off, then what? Okay. Go within. Remind yourself this is but temporary. And then question if you want to respond or not. Okay. He says most of us, we get so worked up in a split second, we respond before we even know we're responding. But he wants us to kind of slow it down, go within, and question, is it best to respond? Is this something that I need to respond to or not? Okay. And he's talking about in this upcoming, he says in this upcoming season on Earth, like we're going through a season. I'm in Game of Thrones and I'm going through the snow and it's barren and cold. Oh man. No one can walk the edge like Archangel Michael, where he's serious, but at the same time, he's got some humor to it. And I think that's why he is with me all the time, because I'm the same way. I'm like, if you can't laugh about things, if you can't make fun of certain things in your life, well, what is the friggin' point? You know what I mean? Like, we've come here, we've come this far, we've come to Earth, we're going through this season. You might as well see the lighter aspects in your experience, right? Because otherwise it's going to be a real long slog on Earth. P.S. No thank you. Okay, so he's talking about as we go along in this season on Earth coming up, you'll notice a lot of individuals, as Kristin says, popping off, losing control, having outbursts of anger and grief. And it's really important to see through the lens, through the filter, from the perspective of understanding, being patient. Okay. There is a lot going on. There are a lot of board pieces being moved around on Earth right now, individually and collectively. And it's really important for those of us that he's talking about, those of us who are really grounded, okay, to exemplify patience and understanding. Okay. All right. Okay, so he's ready to take any questions that you have. Is there anyone or anything that is bothering you in your life? And we'll see what Archangel Michael wants to say about it. I know, right, Joanne? I hope it's not really like Game of Thrones. He gave me that imagery in my head, and I was just like, oh my gosh, cracking up. So let's ask him that question. Is this season coming up similar to Game of Thrones as they're walking through the cold and the snow? He said he thought he'd give that imagery, and he's got a slight smile on his face, okay? Because he knows that we'll understand as to what many are going through on earth at this time. But he says, just remember that in order for change to happen and progressive measures, progressive changes to benefit everyone as a whole, certain pieces on the board game need to be moved. And he's also reminding us that, as you guys have heard me say this many times before, when you have really difficult stages in your life, you think it's the worst thing in the world. How can this be happening to me? I'm losing everything. This is the worst thing ever. But when you get to the other side and you've come through it and you've seen what other wonderful changes have taken place because of those difficult moments, and you see how you have changed drastically on the inside, okay? You say to yourself, okay, this has been worth it. I understand now. I get the bigger picture. I understand why this has all transpired in my life. So it's not just woe is me, repeat, he says. Okay, it's not just woe is me on repeat. That's not what this is about. All right. Toma is asking, I struggle with thinking that people are judging me. I realize that it is I judging myself, but it sure is hard. He's talking about you having incarnations that are quite different than being a human on Earth. So at times it's difficult to feel like you fit in here. He's even talking about you fitting into this, vessel here. And he's talking about, and I don't think this means the same thing as what we've heard. Well, we'll see what he says. He's talking about having thick skin, and he's using a rhinoceros as an example, or even a hippo. They have really thick skin, don't they? And he's saying it with a smile. Okay. Anything else? He says it's not even about others' opinions of you. Okay, because he says put on repeat, others' opinions of me are none of my business. Okay, so that narrows it down to whose business is it of an opinion of me? And that leaves only you. That matters. Okay. He says if it resonates with you, if it's an opinion that is coming from the heart, but he's saying even some opinions and judgments, they don't come from the heart, but they resonate and it feels right or it feels best, then those we will listen to, including your own of yourself. But if it does not resonate, if it does not feel good, then you sweep it aside. And that is that. Okay. But he says overall, it's just about having a little bit of a thicker skin, and as you move forward, becoming more comfortable within this experience, within this vessel. Okay. He's also talking about helping you with any insecurities and confidence, and he's talking about if there's anything else that you would like help with, he can also help you with that as well. Okay. I know when I was younger, the adults used to say, oh, come on, get a thicker skin, like that. or get a backbone. I remember them saying that, and I thought, oh, that doesn't sound very nice, like very considerate. But I think when he's saying it in a way that's like with a smile, showing me hippos and rhinos in Africa, okay, and it's just about getting comfortable in this experience on Earth, especially when we've had vastly different type of incarnations other than Earth. Then you come to Earth and you're like, it's like that GIF on online. Okay, right. And I think that's also important, I like to say, to chuckle and laugh at things and not take them too much to heart. And also understand if one is placing judgment repeatedly upon another that isn't kind in nature, it has nothing to even do with the person that they're placing judgment upon. Is them getting out the energy from within themselves and regurgitating it onto others, right? So that they feel better. And it's also coming through their filter and their lens, which who knows where that's at, okay? All we can be responsible for is our own vibrational frequency, our own thoughts, the way that we operate in the world. But as we move forward and we operate in a certain way, I've experienced, as well as being guided by the angels, is that your experience, your outer world, your reality, your life must move in the direction of being a match with what's going on inward. So I find that irregardless of what's happening outside of me with others, if I stay centrally focused on where I want things to go and being, more positive in nature, that my entire world, I get more high vibrational people, more high vibrational experiences. I feel more uplifted. I feel more confident. I feel more, like I can take on anything. And that's pretty much where I'm at. Now, to say that I'm here all the time, no. But most of the time, yes. And it's never going, I don't think it will ever be 100%. I mean, if it was, maybe we'd be on a Pleiadian planet, right? But we're not. We're here on Earth with a lot of contrast, and there's a huge amount of growth that takes place in one lifetime. Just the fact that you even showed up here, Toma. I mean, honestly. Is there anything else that anyone would like to say to Toma? No, we summed it up. we covered all the bases. Okay. All right. Yes, Barbara. He's the bestest. He really is. Some of us are really drawn to Archangel Metatron, okay? And if you are, you may have had a lot of incarnations off Earth, elsewhere, because Metatron covers a lot of, like if you've had a lot of Starseed origins, you're probably more towards Metatron. However, it could also be that you've been here a long time on Earth and you have had a lot of other origins, and now you feel more drawn towards Archangel Michael. If you have a lot of work that's going to be done here on Earth, you're going to be incarnating here probably a lot on Earth, you're probably being drawn more towards Archangel Michael. You came here to light it up here, to be a high vibrational, helpful being here, probably Archangel Michael. All right, here we go. And at the end of the day, everyone's going to have an opinion or a judgment on everything, okay? It might be something you say, it might be something you do, it might be, it might be the way you did your makeup, it might be the way that you walk. I mean, I remember being like 3 years old and I was dragging my heels in the mall with my winter boots, and my dad barked at me to pick up my feet. I remember that at an early age, and it was a bit abrupt and abrasive to me, because here I am so little, and my dad is getting gruff with me. So everyone's going to have an opinion and a judgment or something to say to you all the time. And the only factor that is in your hands is you, how you respond, how you handle it, your frequency. And I'll tell you, when you start off on the path that I've been on, you better have a thick skin, because there's going to be a ton of different people out there that are coming through a ton of different lenses, viewing the world from their religious background, what they were taught, what experiences have happened to them in their lives. Do they have more of a positive, optimistic, outlook in the world, or is it more of a Debbie Downer? So yeah. Yes. Oh, I love that, Sangita. Thick skin, but a soft heart. Love it. Love it. Hiya. All right. So, okay, Sangita, I get stuck sometimes in knowing when to speak up and when to keep quiet. Any input, Archangel Michael? It's nice, though I have very few people in my life who ruffle me, and I've learned more self-love over the years. And isn't that interesting that being selective as to who's in your life and having people that are more going with the flow with you has allowed you probably to go within and focus in on self-love. However, somebody else might say, oh, I had to stick up for myself repeatedly, and that taught me a lot of self-love. But long-term, having to stick up for yourself and be bombarded by heaviness from other people probably isn't being on the right track, okay? Not for self-love. Nobody has the energy or the time or the effort within to place towards people that are heavier in frequency, bombarding you every day, all day. Self-love is saying no and walking your own path sometimes. Okay. All right. So speaking up and when to keep quiet, Archangel Michael. He's talking about a bubbling or a brewing from within, an urge to step forward, the energy almost propelling or pushing you forward. And he's also talking about, blue life colors sometimes can just hang back too much, and at times even allow others to kind of do their thing, and they just kind of hang back and watch and sometimes get walked over. He's using the words at times being more, passive or submissive. However, he's also talking about a lot of individuals on Earth who are this way, things shifting in them and spurring them on to move in a different direction. And he's really excited and happy about this and clapping. Okay. He's talking about a lot of blues will walk around in a circle and they're doing the same thing over and over and over again and not much changing. But he's talking about in the years ahead that isn't. What are you saying there? That isn't going to be the same path that a lot of blues walk in the future. Okay, so some are going to say, no, I'm going to say no. I'm going to have more me time. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not always going to be available. I'm going to go and take my own path. Maybe I'll go traveling. Maybe I'll go take courses and classes. Maybe I'll go and do whatever I want to do rather than what everybody else needs me to do. Yes. So as far as, vocalizing or being quiet, it's really about the energy bubbling up within you and then you stepping forward and saying something. That's what it comes down to. And he says, if you misappropriate your your energy and you do step forward and realize that maybe it was not necessary, always remember that others' frequency, their thoughts, the way that they handle things, perceive things, their own vibrational frequency is their responsibility. Okay? So he's talking about like, he's talking about in a perfect world, many more would be awakened here on earth and they would be much more aware of their own thoughts that they're housing and their own vibrational frequency. He says it's okay to test the water sometimes and speak up even when you're not certain. He's all about it, Sangita. Boy, if we were talking to Callie, you can only imagine what she'd say on that one. She'd be pushing you out the door to go and speak up to everybody. And as an indigo, that's ultimately what you do when you first are out the gate and you're not necessarily awakened on earth. Oh man, you can't wait to give your opinion to everybody, whether they want it or not. But when you start working with the angels, you create that balance within and you realize that it's exhausting to give your opinion to everyone and try to help everyone, okay? And you start realizing that some people don't even want help. They're okay exactly where they are. They're okay sitting there complaining. They're okay doing their own thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, Joanne. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, there's 3 choices, Joanne. When you step forward on the social media, there's 3 choices. 1, the person leaves the comment there and you don't respond. 2, you can delete the comment and maybe even block the person if you want to. Or 3, one thing that I've come to realize is that you can respond to the comment knowing that it's just a game on social media, because it is. And the game is getting in the algorithm. So when you respond and you heart everybody's comment, whether it's positive or otherwise, it gets your video more in the algorithm. There's more commenting and liking or hearting. Therefore, your video has the potential of being viewed more often. Thanks for your negative comment. So you can look at it like that, okay? So ultimately, at the end of the day, everybody's got an opinion about everything. And if you want more views of your content, then you can respond. But don't take it to heart, because remember, others are seeing things through their filter and what they've been taught. If they've only been taught the color purple is purple, and then you come along and say, well, have you thought about it being green? Yeah, there are a lot of very interesting individuals that have a very set idea of things based upon what they've been taught, and that's fine. I like to say follow your intuition and see what feels good and what doesn't feel good, right? Most people are just regurgitating the information that they've learned from books, etc. All right, so in regards to Joanne stepping forward onto social media and doing videos, he's smiling and clapping and he's showing teeth. So that's a good sign. He's not just, he's got his teeth out. The pearly whites are out. He says, go forth, Joanne. Step forth like this, in this way. Okay. There will be a lot learned. This isn't just about you, but it is about many. It's also about those with whom he's talking about, the energy, the high vibrational energy that is around you that will operate through the video and impact and affect those who are watching you through the video content that you share with others. So the spirit on the other side can help others through your video content, not just by what you're saying or doing on camera, but also flooding each individual with high vibrational frequency and help and assistance when they are watching the broadcast. Okay. And he says there's a lot to be learned, even for those who are disinterested or not interested in what you are posting. They still will have the impact of the high vibrational frequency stemming through and assisting them when they're watching. Whether they agree or disagree with what you are relaying. He says it'll be a confidence booster for you and it'll be very good for you. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, Christina, do I need to speak up at work about the things going on or just let it go and stay in my lane? Okay, so you'll know the answer to that when you're sitting in the chair. Okay, so do it with me. Do you feel like you need to kind of get up out of the chair and say something? Or do you feel like you need to just sit in the chair and you feel like your body's heavy and you're happy just sitting in the chair and you don't feel like saying anything? So what is the answer? Let's be real, Joanne. There are many people stepping forward as far as like maybe 3 years ago. And then things have shifted. And when things are heavier on earth, those who are heavier in frequency stepping forward in the spiritual community, they kind of drop off. And or maybe they're guided and shifted in a different direction. And maybe they're not getting as much out of it than other people are. So when I look around now, there's not nearly as many people stepping forward to help others and share their information and the beautiful work that they do. So anyone stepping forward right now is a great blessing for everyone, period. It's a big world out there. Yeah. And it'll be so worth it when you have all these like wonderful positive comments under your content. You're going to be like, wow, this is so amazing. You get a pullback? Speaking up at work. I get a buzzing in my body. I don't feel like I'm totally heavy sitting in my chair. I feel like there's certain individuals, like you're not going to go speak up to everybody. You, and I think this of you, and this of you. Okay, but there are select individuals in your workplace that you need to vocalize your concerns to. That's what I'm receiving. They're also talking about there's a difference between feeling what your higher self and your team is suggesting you do versus, and this takes practice. So then I'm feeling, but I'm nervous and I'm hesitant, I'm scared, and now I'm feeling a pullback. So nervousness, they're saying it. That's why I'm saying it. They're talking about it being good for you. And they're talking about rip the Band-Aid off and step forward and step up. And step is also about you stepping forward and standing up for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to see if there's any last messages. I would like you to step forward when you feel, when you are guided. It's like a brewing or a buzzing. It's almost like you get an energy, a surge of energy. Okay. If it feels flat and stagnant and you don't feel any surge of energy at all, just hang back. But if you feel like even the fact, Christina, that you're asking the question, should I step forward at work, is also an indicator that you're thinking about stepping forward at work. Why is that? Right? So if you weren't thinking about stepping forward at work, or it was completely stagnant and flat, or a pullback, then you wouldn't even be asking that question. It wouldn't even be entering your mind. So that's another telltale sign. Okay, so we're just using it as a confirmation. We're not saying that that's the answer, but that coupled with, I get this buzzing or this surge of energy through my body, which is having to be pushed forward. And I feel like you're going to be standing up for yourself and speaking to one person in particular, possibly two. Okay. Okay, and Archangel Michael's also talking about when you get the surge or the drive to vocalize yourself, we call it standing up for ourselves, but it's even speaking up in any given moment that you feel this surge of energy to do so, or you feel it's the right thing to do in the moment. The more you do this, the more fluid life becomes. The less resistance you will have, and the more in the flow and going with the flow of source frequency you will be. Thank you, my dearest beloved ones. This is Archangel Michael. I'll see you on Saturday on my Facebook page, Kristin Davies, and Abraham from Abraham Hicks would like to come through. Also, this Sunday is going to be how to open your third eye and your pineal gland with Archangel Michael class, only $25. If you want to sign up for that, you can go to KristinDaviesMedium.com. Love you guys. Bye.